Hello, happy campers. I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
And we are geeking out.
Geeking out.
I've been a little bit of a break here. It's been, 3 weeks since we did an episode.
3 weeks, yeah.
Koofamania 23 wrapping up its second week, and I'm darn tired of it. But we've got stuff to talk about. This one actually doesn't have much of a way of news items this week, so
I have no news.
it has nothing. It's been 3 weeks. The writer's strike goes on. He thinks nothing's happened. I'll tell you some things that happened, but first let's talk about what else we have coming up on the fabulous Who What Where Network this week. We have an episode of Backrack Video. I think it's episode, 15?
Oh, good Lord.
Family-friendly creature features. So this one has compiled a list of family-friendly monster movies in honor of Halloween coming up. So we'll go over that, and I'll give you my opinion on just why he's wrong on everything. But hey, we'll see what happens. Anyway. So, Chris, how have you been the last 3 weeks?
I have been just chilling, honestly. I was sick at first, which was like the reason why we didn't get to do our very first shooting of the week we missed.
2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And then last week I was sick, so we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then this week, I'm still hacking up hairballs, so. Hacking up hairballs. It is September 24th, 2023. We are closing in on Halloween. It is fall, so the temperatures are falling, the leaves are falling, my arches are falling. It's fall. We did have a couple of things break out over the past 3 weeks. Of course, Russell Brand, he's gotten into trouble, but that's a little beyond our scope right here. I could do a chore of duty on it sometime that would probably open, well, let's be honest, it wouldn't change anybody's mind because nobody pays attention to us. That's why I'm not doing anything. But let's just say the weaponization of social media is pretty much full bore now. So social media, Facebook, all that other stuff, forget it. It's done. It's not going to survive this cycle, I don't think. But again, that's a little more politics and a little less geeky. We need to stick to geeky here. But yeah, speaking of geeky, have you ever heard of a comic book called Fables?
Yes. Didn't you used to have like a whole stack of Fables? I have
several Fables graphic novels. It was published by DC Comics starting in the 90s. A guy named Bill Willingham did it. I primarily know Bill Willingham primarily from doing Justice Society books back in the 90s and 2000s. He's actually pretty good at it. Fables basically updates characters from classic fables, like Snow White, the Big Bad Wolf, all these little nursery rhymes and stuff. All the characters in them are real and occupy a place called Fabletown, creatively enough, in the real world, and they have to get used to living in the real world because their magical realm is gone. But there's a whole different magical realm that's disappeared for DC Comics because Bill Willingham retained ownership interest in Fables. Okay, so DC Comics did not own the Fables franchise outright. Apparently, DC was getting ready to start, I'm not sure exactly what the story is. I'm hearing different stories. I imagine DC was going to try to develop Fables as some kind of TV show or movie or something like that. And they decided they wanted to cut Bill Willingham out of it. Bill Willingham retained enough creators' equity in the franchise that he actually turned it public domain. So the entire series, from issue 1 to the very last thing he ever did, is now in the public domain. Anybody can use Big B Wolf. Anybody can use Fabletown. Anybody can use any of these characters in any way they want. He did it primarily to teach DC a lesson to stop screwing over their creators. And there's no telling how many millions of dollars Bill just gave up there, but hey, man, more power to you, brother.
That means if somebody's out there in Hollywood who's really, really smart and is a big fan of Fable, could probably turn this profit into something really big, like Lord of the Rings big.
Well, yeah, if you're willing to work with Willingham and the artists who are on the show, on the on the series, yeah, you can turn this into a multi-season affair because Bill Williams already laid out all the plot work, all the character development, all this other stuff. The basics are there if you'll just follow your source material, which we know Hollywood does a spectacular job of doing it.
Sure.
But of course, with the Writers Guild screwing around and the Screen Actors Guild screwing around, and the American Federation of Television and Radio Actors still messing around, knew I could remember what AFTRA was, but now I can't remember what my combination, my locker was. But anyway, so although we're probably not going to see anything developed out of that right away until these strikes end. Wah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and speaking of the strikes, I told you we figured this out months ago when they were talking about doing the strikes. The studios are using this to pretty much break a lot of these contracts and stuff that they're obligated to for things like yet more Star Wars crap and yet more Indiana Jones crap and Lucasfilm crap and all the woke crap and all the social justice crap. It's all gone up into the air. The latest coming out is saying there's a bunch of news coming out of Disney, okay, because Disney is absolutely choking right now on its cash flow because it has none.
That's their fault.
Now, when last we left you, Spectrum and Disney were having a little spat. Disney insisted Spectrum yank all the shows off the air because they wanted to be paid more for everything. And Spectrum was like, fewer and fewer people are buying our cable television service because you keep overcharging for all this stuff. We don't want anything to do with it. Well, they finally settled that about a week ago, about the 16th or so. So now, you Spectrum customers, that includes Charter customers too, are going to get Disney Channel again. They're going to get FX again. They'll get Nat Geo again. They'll get ABC again. But there will be no Disney Junior for those customers. There will be no Disney XD. There will be none of the FXX is gone. Freeform is gone. All the little ABC sub-affiliates are gone. They're just off in the wind. And in exchange, Spectrum has agreed to pay what they call a wholesale fee to Disney, so that if you are a Spectrum cable customer who gets ESPN and ABC and Disney Channel and stuff as part of your lineup, you get access to Disney Plus too. When last we left, we were talking about Disney Plus's numbers tanking because nobody wants that woke crap. They finally found a way to artificially inflate those numbers. Remember we were talking about how Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile were giving away these fantastic, I think Walmart Plus actually gives you like 6 months of Paramount Plus, and it fluffs their numbers. So it looks like they're doing well, although nobody's using the product. They technically count as customers. That's what Disney's doing with Charter Spectrum, and odds are they're doing it on purpose. And if it sounds like I'm gargling or something, it's because I've got a cough drop in my mouth. I'm trying not to hack up another lung on camera. But anyway, that was TMI. But now more shenanigans coming out of Disney. But at least Spectrum customers get to watch their ESPN stuff.
Yay!
Speaking of. Another story came out. It was from a group. Oh, what were they called? I had it up here too. Where were you? There it is. It's a website called Valiant Renegade, and they've been doing some digging into Disney's corporate numbers. They've actually had a look at Disney's UK tax returns. And why does Disney have UK tax returns? Disney does business in the UK through their Lucasfilm division. There are studios in London and the various areas in the UK. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's the same ones that James Bond uses, that MGM uses for the 007 series. Lucasfilm does a lot of their Star Wars filming there, and some of their Indiana Jones filming there. There's a bunch of other Disney things that are occurring there. A lot of the Marvel stuff happened there, and the reason why is because the British government gives tax credits along the same lines as BBC productions in order to keep their British theater industry alive. Is they give tax credits and stuff. Well, in order to get tax credits, of course, you have to file tax forms. So, because Disney used these British studios, these British films, studio stages and stuff to stage their productions for filming, they had to file UK tax returns, and those tax returns are now public knowledge. So now we know Disney has been talking about how much these Star Wars projects cost. Now we have a better understanding of what they actually cost, because this is what Disney wrote down on their tax returns. Because it doesn't behoove Disney to underrepresent how much something costs when it comes to their taxes. Because the more of a loss they suffer, then the less tax they have to pay on it, right? So take these with a grain of salt. Disney may have, inflated the numbers a bit, but it makes them look completely embarrassing right now. We're looking at the last 5 Star Wars movies that were theatrically released. All right, so The Force Awakens, supposedly it cost $308 million to make. That was its budget, $308 million. That's not counting marketing. Expect about another $150 million for that. Okay, so by Disney's admission, basically $458 million to make The Force Awakens. According to the tax returns, the actual amount is $667 million, over twice. Remember what we were talking about not last episode or episode before. People are putting their loan payoffs into these budgets. They're putting their homes into these budgets, and they're sticking all this crap. All of Kathleen Kennedy's old buddies and stuff are sticking things into these budgets, and it's overinflating them. Look at this one. The Rise of Skywalker is their second most expensive film out of the last 5 they produced. It was supposed to cost $275 million. It actually cost about $554 million. Okay? Solo, instead of $275 million, cost $364 million. The Last Jedi, instead of $262 million, it cost about $500 million. And Rogue One, which cost $200 million, they said actually cost $294. That was the bargain of the bunch. Now, again, this does not include all the marketing and all the other stuff that goes along with it. That's another $150 million per film. So throw another $750 million on top of that. Instead of costing $1.3 billion for these 5 films like Disney claims in their PR stuff, it's actually $2.29 billion. Plus throw the $750 million in marketing costs for those 5 films. It cost them over $3 billion. Okay, now these are large numbers, but I'll step you through the math. Hold on.
Dang.
Understand, the studio, when you go to the box office, when you go to the theaters, you go to the box office, everybody's got their fingers in the till. Okay, everybody gets a certain percentage of each ticket sold. The majority, the lion's share is supposed to go to the studio. That's not how it works as much anymore. According to the numbers we're seeing that are a part of this Valiant Renegade report, Disney typically averages about 55% of every box office ticket. The other 45% is split between the venue and the distributor. Okay, now understand, Disney tends to distribute its own stuff under its Buena Vista label. But that doesn't count as Disney income, it counts as Buena Vista income. So again, take these numbers with a little bit of salt. So 55% of your average, Disney's average take home for each ticket is 55%. So you pay $10 for a Star Wars ticket, Disney's getting $5.50 of it. But the 4.5 gets split between the distributor and the theater. And you know a certain movie theater manager who would love to be able to get 45% of every ticket, but
That would be nice.
that would be nice. Okay, so, but the reason I'm saying this is that according to Disney, they made $5.9 billion in what they call rentals. This is what Disney makes off of, this is their box office, basically. Okay, $5.9 billion in box office for these 5 films. Great, right? That averages $1 billion a film. That's spectacular, right? They only get 55% of that. Okay. Let's round it up to $6 billion. Let's give them benefit of the doubt. It's 5.92. We'll say it's 6. Okay, say it's $6 billion. Okay. Right. Which means each film makes about $1 billion. Disney gets 55% of that. That's $550 million per film. That runs up to about $3.3 billion between the 5 films. And we know that the cost so far for the production and the marketing alone is somewhere north of $3 billion. Have they made a dime off of Star Wars in the last decade? Maybe a dime. So you're looking at $3.3 billion that they actually got to keep out of their box office receipts. In China, it's actually a lot less. It's like 43% they keep. So again, it varies by international things. So they made $3.3 billion. They spent $3 billion. They made $300 million on 5 films, $60 million a film. That does not include all of Disney's overhead and expenses and stuff that go along with just being a studio. So that eats all that up. So they haven't made a dime off of Star Wars, see?
Wow.
And there's more dismal Disney stuff, okay? We were talking about ESPN and they're having a fight with Charter Spectrum over ESPN. All right. Let me verify this number. Hold on a minute. Let me go back in here. Okay. This is pretty much hilarious. Okay, so to give you an idea of what's going on, ESPN has Monday Night Football, which not that many people watch anymore. ESPN pays the NFL $100 million per game. There are 18 games in the season. $1.8 billion, okay? That is why... Okay, hold on. Chris, how much do you think your average cable subscriber pays for ESPN each month? Out of their entire cable bill, how much do you think they pay for ESPN? I'm curious to see what you would say.
I'm going to guess anywhere from 11 to 15.
$20.
$20.
$20 of your cable bill is just for ESPN. Now understand, that includes everybody who gets ESPN as part of their package, and ESPN is basic cable. It goes into every cable package. Okay?
That explains the reason why whenever you look at the cable package, even if you don't like sports, ESPN and all the ESPN channels are right there with the channels that you do want.
Right.
So you're stuck in.
So when your Aunt Agnes wants to watch the Golden Girls on Hallmark Channel, and she's paying $100 a month for the privilege of it, $20 of that's going to ESPN. She never watches it. So now if Aunt Agnes looks at, say, Fernley, which is a TV service I've recommended, they've recently had to jump their price up from $9 to $10 a month for their good package. But that's like 45 channels, okay? Right. But it's more family-friendly channels, okay? Including Hallmark channels. She can watch all the Golden Girls she wants for $10 a month, or she can pay Charter Spectrum $100 a month for ESPN that she never watches. And Agnes does the math and figures this out, or more likely her granddaughter does, and explains it to her. And she's like, well, I don't watch the NFL or Major League Baseball or any of that crap. None of these boys have very good buns anymore. So she cancels her Charter Spectrum cable subscription, and she goes over and she switches to Fernley, which she can now watch the Golden Girls all she wants to, and all the Columbo she wants, and all the Murder she wants, which we're also going to discuss in a minute. But she can watch all that for $10 a month instead of $100 a month. Suddenly there's one less Aunt Agnes paying $20 for ESPN. Now, multiply that by roughly 20 million people dropping out of cable subscriptions in the last year or two. That's take it back. About $400 million a month coming out of ESPN's bottom line. No wonder they can't make any money. Disney can't make any money on ESPN anymore. But wait, there's more dismal Disney news. There it is. ABC. Disney owns ABC. We've talked about the scuttlebutt.
I'm not going to do this.
He ain't going to do it. He'll wait until my back is turned. But anyway.
The scuttlebutt.
See, there it is. So the scuttlebutt had that Disney was going to start shopping some of their networks and stuff. ABC apparently has not one but two bidders. And Disney has not officially put ABC on the block or anything yet, but ABC employees, like their news division, are absolutely sweating bullets over this. Nexstar is one of the suitors. Those are the guys who just bought the CW. And the CW's average episode budget has gone from roughly $1.4 million to $1.49 and some pocket lint. Okay. That's why Superman and Lois went away. The other suitor, I don't even know if you know who this is, Byron Allen. This is a blast from the past. If you remember Real People back in the early 80s, you know Byron Allen. He was the unfunny black guy on Real People. Okay? He owns a company called Entertainment Studios. They do all kinds of programs that basically fill up space on channels and stuff that, I mean, let's face it, there's so many channels running around right now, there's not enough content to go around. He makes up crap, throws it up on the screen, and then apparently he is now a multimillionaire, as in to the tune of having a personal worth supposedly around $800 million. He's put together a bid for ABC. These two guys, these two companies are offering somewhere roughly $10 billion for ABC. Will the Disney board actually go through with selling this stuff off in order to meet their obligations? Because they still have to pay Comcast like somewhere between $30 and $40 billion for the rest of Hulu. Curiouser and curiouser. But anyway, that's what's happening in the dismal Disney world. So,
wow.
So now if you wonder why Disney just cannot pull their heads out of their rumps, you have a good idea. They are up against the wall right now. See what happens when you don't have any newsy things? I just start going off. And you've got to generate some more newsy things so I don't go rambling off.
I know they estimated like the new Snow White movie. It's like, I can't remember the number. I think it was like it has to make $3 million or something like that. But from what everybody's saying, like it is not going to make that because it has a stain already.
Scuttlebutt has it. Scuttlebutt has it. They've already dropped $200 million in that film. They haven't even wrapped principal photography yet. And the story going around is that CEO Bob Iger was going to drop it completely because you got to look at it and realize it was a big steaming pile of mess. So the new story going around is that Disney can't afford to not release this film because they are under certain contractual obligations. Here's the thing. Disney has always been able to market their crap. Okay? Usually they had good crap. It was worth marketing. Nowadays, not so much.
But this one, the market has already been, the damage has been done by the actress herself who's like...
Yeah, but McDonald's has already paid Disney something in the neighborhood of $50 to $75 million for the rights to make Snow White and the Seven Dorks Happy Meals. And they've already got toy manufacturers like Hasbro who have paid them like $50 million for the rights to make Snow White and the Seven Mini Guys Seven Diversity hires action figures and play sets. They've got all these places, and so if Disney shuts it down, they have to give all that money back. And Disney's already taken the money and spent it on, diversity hires. So you're getting it anyway, whether you want it or not. Not even Bob Iger wants this anymore. And supposedly he's starting to put out there that they're going to have to start knocking off all the woke stuff because they need to make some money again.
I guarantee you that this movie, by the time this movie is ready to come out, it probably will not go to theaters. It probably just goes straight to Disney Plus.
Good question, because honestly, it doesn't cost Disney any more to put it in the theaters than it does in...
Because we already know it's going to bomb.
Yeah, but here's the thing, okay? If Disney puts it on Disney Plus, even if just a few thousand people watch it, they still have to host a few thousand streams. If they go ahead and put it out into theaters, then they'll be distributing like an 8K ultra high def version of it for theatrical release. The theaters download it once and then play the digital file. There's no film anymore, so there's no physical cost. So Disney just has to pay for the bandwidth to split it like 3,000-4,000 different ways in that first weekend. And then everything else after that, there's no distribution costs really. So even if they just barely make $10 million in sales in their opening weekend, most of that's pure gravy for them, or at least money that they don't have to spend money to make. So recoup some of the cost is what I was saying.
Yeah.
But I do have one more thing to talk about before we wrap out, because we are already a half hour into this, and it was not supposed to be taken this long. Remember, we were talking about, for the last 6 years, we've been talking about streaming services, and I've told you about how Hollywood was going to go so that they each had their own service because they saw how much money Netflix was making, and they wanted a piece of that, so they were going to keep all their stuff to themselves. They're going to all have their own streaming services, and sure enough, now we've got HBO Max. It's now just Max. You have Discovery Plus. You have Disney Plus. You have Peacock, which is NBC Universal. You have all these other things. Okay, MGM Plus. Even MGM has one now. So everybody has one. We have one, for crying out loud. It's hosted over on hoobabooba.com, but hey, hoobastank.com. But anyway, it's and like I said, they're not going to make a dime off of it because most of their stuff is crap. Nobody wants to watch that crap.
Sure.
Okay? And all the new stuff is absolutely crap. Nobody wants to watch that stuff. So nobody's paying for it. So they have to go through theatrics and accounting tricks and stuff, like the offering it for free along with somebody who signs a contract with Verizon or T-Mobile or AT&T, yada, yada. What we're starting to see now in the past 6-9 months is we're starting to see the studios are finally figuring out they can't continue this exclusive agreement anymore because nobody's paying them for their stuff. Nobody's paying them for their stuff. Nobody is paying them for their stuff. The cable companies are, but the cable companies don't have money anymore because Aunt Agnes has given up paying $20 a month for ESPN. She wants to go pay $10 a month for Fernley so she can watch her Golden Girls. So there's no money there. What they've figured out is what we've been saying here for a couple of years. If you put your old stuff back out for public consumption and ad supported, then people start paying you money for stuff. It doesn't cost you anything anymore. It's free money. It's free money you've been leaving on the table. You've just been walking away from it because, I don't know, you're trying to show off to some BlackRock idiot or some fool from State Street or Vanguard or something. But we have seen Warner Brothers has a little project called WBTV, and it's a whole bunch of streaming channels. And if you look around, you'll see them. You'll find them. You won't see them on Pluto TV, which has been our go-to streaming service. It's called a fully ad-supported television service. FAST is what they call it. Pluto was the first of the big FAST services, and it's still the biggest. And they have the deals with PBS. They have all the Paramount stuff. They have all the CBS stuff. So if you want to watch old Twilight Zone episodes, you go to Pluto. If you want to watch old one show or another, Cheers, you'll find it on Pluto. All that Star Trek, you'll find it on Pluto. Okay, Warner Brothers started doing that with the Discovery stuff. So they have stuff like, they have a channel called Paws and Claws, which is nothing but Animal Planet stuff about house pets. They have a home and garden channel. They have a do-it-yourself channel. They have one that's nothing but marriage stuff. Love and Marriage, I think it's called. And it's nothing but for weddings and bridezillas and a bunch of other stuff. Okay. So Warner Brothers, and it's mostly the Discover stuff. They've been leaving the Warner Brothers stuff off for the most part, but it's mostly Discover stuff. Universal is now getting into the ring here. Like I said, the Warner stuff is not on Pluto. It's on something like Roku channel. Okay, Roku channel, Amazon Freevee has access to it. You'll probably find it on Zumo or some of these other streaming services. Universal, which owns NBC, is now getting into the FAST service. They're licensing a bunch of their old 70s and 80s stuff they don't think they can monetize anymore. And they're putting it out there for the ad services, okay, for the free transmitters, basically, for the online streaming that's free. So they went into the fully ad-supported television thing. So they've come up with several channels. And if you get the Roku channel, you can find a Roku channel app out there for just about every streaming device out there. You don't have to have a Roku to get the Roku channel. Okay, it helps, but you don't have to. You can find it. Universal now offers a Universal Crime Channel. It's nothing but 24/7 shows like Columbo and Quincy and McMillan and Wife, Kojak, all the old 70s Universal stuff, all the stuff that used to be on the NBC mystery movies back in the early mid-70s is on this channel. They have a Universal Action Channel that is out now that is nothing but $6 Million Man reruns. And I mean marathons. The way they're running these channels right now, they're doing marathons of these shows, and they're starting with episode 1, go to the very last episode, and then they start over. And they just play it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, again and again, until they do about 3 or 4 laps through it, and then they move to the next show, and they do it again. So right now, I think they're on like the 3rd or 4th lap of the $6 Million Man on Universal Action. I don't know what's coming up next, but I know they do have access to episodes of The A-Team and Knight Rider and a bunch of other cool old Universal shows.
A-Team.
They have a 24/7 Murder, She Wrote channel. It's nothing but Murder, She Wrote, 24 hours. All the Angela Lansbury you can eat. They have a 24/7 Little House on the Prairie channel, which you can get on the Roku channel. If you're into that thing and you know who you are, there it is, and it's completely free and ad supported. The hilarious thing is Roku can't seem to figure out how to do the ad split on this, so you're getting like 3 minutes of like concentric circles saying we'll be right back. So you're not actually exposed to any ads yet. They're just going to the ad breaks, not showing anything, and then taking you straight back into the show. There was another one. There's a 24/7 Alfred Hitchcock Presents. It's been out there for a while. That's actually over on Pluto. They are supposedly working on a 24/7 Universal Monsters channel, which starts with the old school Universal Dracula and Frankenstein movies, shows all the monster movies, all the sequels, all the spin-offs, and it goes right up to modern day. So it may not necessarily be safe for children all the time, but hey, that's a lot of ground to cover. And I would be surprised if Kolchak isn't in there somewhere, because that's a Universal show too. So, stuff to stream, it's out there. Get a chance, pick up Roku channel, or like I said, Freevee or Zumo or any of these other free streaming services, and just get out there and enjoy yourself. So,
oh yeah.
So, Chris, how did I do picking up the slack on this episode of Geekin' Out?
Golf clap.
Yeah. Here you go.
Eh,
Thank God for high definition. So make sure you keep an eye out for us later this week. We do have an episode of Backrack Video where Chris is going into family-friendly creature features, yes. Family-friendly horror films. And then and then hopefully we'll be back next week with another episode. And hopefully I can leave all this phlegm in my past. But we'll see. We'll see how October begins. But
you know how to cure that?
blow my nose off. No, I want to cure it myself, not kill myself. Because I know how you people are with chemistry sets. No. And especially under pressure with heat applied. No, thank you. So, Chris, with Chris giving out health tips. Until next time, I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
And y'all keep on geeking out. Bye.
Peace.